Hello, everybody. Welcome to day one of this Christmas in July series. I am super excited that you had a chance to join me for this first piece of Christmas in July. Um, we have our figurines here. Yes, they are different. This is Eco Resin, and this is Plaster of Paris. So, get all this over here. And then we have the mold here. I have all of my supplies. This is the Nutcracker figurine. So by the end of this week, we're going to see how one simple project can turn into a complete paint kit. I do have the paint kit here, and of course the figurine will go on the inside here. I have the paints. I have the crinkle paper. I have your two brushes. See those two brushes. And then we also have your canvas, which is watercolor paper. And we have the example, and on the back side we have your care card. All right, all of this will be included. Each day I will send you an email, and that email will have whatever I've gone over for that day. So make sure that you are looking out for those emails. If you know someone who would like to join along, just have them to register, and then that email will go out to them as well. So let's go over a little bit of a few things. So what is Eco Resin? So this one, again, this is the Eco Resin. There is a big difference, a huge difference, especially in weight. Preferably, I would choose this one. This one did take longer to dry, maybe about 6 extra hours. This only took about an hour and a half to dry. The difference. Okay, and again, this is the mold. So today we are working with the Eco Resin. I do have that here. So if you haven't used it before, don't worry. This is a beginner-friendly project. It's not something that you should, you know, get your panties in a bunch about. This is a professional piece of things. It is very much so the professional. All right. So one thing I love about the resin is that it captures all of the little tiny pieces, all of the little crevices, all of the little areas that it took the mold, the plaster of Paris, much longer, much, much longer. But I mean, for the most part, this one came out good too. All right. So for my supplies here, I do have my Eco Resin, which is this one again. I have my water. I have my mold. I usually have my scale with me, but my husband took it, so I don't have my scale, but my cups are measuring cups, and these cups do come with the Eco Resin kit. I would suggest the kit if you are a first timer and you need everything to be included. But for those of you who already have those other supplies, you can definitely just purchase the resin by itself. So I have my mixing cup, I have my stir stick, I have a few paper towels, and then I have some sandpaper here with me. This sandpaper is, you look at it, it's very fine sandpaper, very fine. Okay. If you're going to pour along with me, then go ahead and get all of your supplies ready. So you don't have to hunt for anything halfway through, all right? So many people look at mold and see it's a craft project, which it really is. And I look at it, but I see opportunity. I know that with these, the nutcrackers, they can become paint kits, paint parties. You can have paint parties where you can do holiday workshops, teachers, gifts, vendors, events, products, and even fundraiser projects. So always ask yourself, how many ways can this one product make me money? And I've just named quite a bit of different ways that this one Nutcracker resin mold can make you money, right? So we're going to follow the mixing instructions that are on the they gave me. This came along with an instruction sheet, and of course I've been doing it for a while, so I know what the instructions are. But for those of you who are new and maybe you have a different type of resin, just make sure that you follow whatever the instructions are that they provided for you. So let me get all of this out of the way so we can go ahead and get started. So again, I do have my 2 measuring cups, and I just like to mix in the cup. I don't have to necessarily put it into anything else. So with this resin powder, it is 3 to 1. The ratio is 3 to 1. So 1 part water, 3 parts powder. So I put my clean cup always has the water, and then this cup is for my resin powder. So today I'm gonna do 2.5 because I'm only pouring for this Nutcracker mold. Then again, it's 3 to 1. Get my powder. 1. It's 2. And 3. Gonna move my resin out the way. I'm gonna wipe off my ear here. So now that I have that, I'm gonna pour that into my water. Okay. Now I'm going to mix. So normally when I do plaster of Paris or any other type of plaster, I would spray this with my alcohol and water, have alcohol, have water in my mister. But with the resin, I found that I don't have to do that, which saves me time and it saves me money. I'm just mixing it real good. It's mixed really well. Make sure you don't have any on the sides. You want to mix it a little slow and make sure you scrape the sides and the bottom of the cup. The goal is a smooth mixture, right? And we don't want any dry powder hiding at the bottom. All right, so now we're ready to pour. Okay, my mold is here. So I'm just going to carefully pour it into the Nutcracker mold. I'm going to pour it slowly and gently. I want to make sure that I don't miss any spots. Now I could go all the way to the top, but I don't like my mold. I don't like for my figurine to be thick because resin is heavy. So let me show you one. So this is one, and you can see the thickness there. And it's quite heavy. I don't want this one to be that heavy, so I'm not going to pour all the way top. I'm gonna make sure that I shake it so that I can release any bubbles that may have formed at the bottom. And remember, we're not going for perfection, right? At this point, we're just going for progress. All right, so now that this is done, we are going to allow it to cure, okay? According to whatever your manufacturer's directions are, that's what you will do. And once it's cured, I'll remove it from the mold, and that way you can see what it looks like. And of course, it's going to look like this. That's why I love resin, because there aren't many imperfections. Um, versus if I were to use the plaster of Paris or the perfect plaster. Sometimes you're not sure what will come out. You're not sure which parts are going to be messed up. I've messed up many figurines. But with this one, you can definitely pour it knowing that everything is going to come out right. So you can take a look at these. And then also the plaster of Paris does some weird discoloration once it's dry. And I don't like it at all. But as you can see, the candy canes here are missing. We have some pieces here missing. But everything with the on the resin figurine is there. It didn't come off. So just an example of the difference between the plaster and the resin. All right, so for this, it's going to take about 2 hours for this to dry. So I will leave it here until it is cured all the way, fully cured. And then I will remove the figurine from the mold, and I'll lightly sand the edges and the bottom of it lightly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you now what that looks like, because tomorrow for day 2, this mold will already be dry, and I'll just show you how it turned out and what it looks like. So for all of you who are doing this along with me, I would love for you to take a picture of your mold once it is dry and post it in the group. And you can make the caption day 1. Okay, you can see how thin that is. It's really thin. And I just kind of make it and rub it like that. Okay. Smooth. I do have a brush, but I would usually just brush it off. Brush the excess powder off. Okay. Then I'm gonna do the plaster up here so that you can see that as well. Now the plaster of Paris it is not flat. It's not flat like you can see there's a curve there right here. And then there's a curve up here. So I kind of want to flatten that out until it's all. Okay, you can see where there's a difference. Okay, so now that's done. So they both have been sanded. And again, I will sand this one once it is dry. All right, so we are pretty much done with day 1. So today we created the foundation for the product to be painted, right? Or gifted, however you want to, whatever you want to do with it, or sold. And then tomorrow we'll move on to stage 2, where we'll bring the paint kit to life. Everything that goes on the inside, we'll bring that to life. All right, guys, happy creating, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. See you soon.